Back in the 80s and 90s, people were crazy about movies, especially action flicks. From the big budget star-studded violent action of the 80s to the straight-to-video martial artists starring action of the 90s. Movie lovers were in heaven at this time. Huge pop culture icons like Arnold Schwarzenegger and Sylvester Stallone cemented their action hero status, while actual athletes such as martial artists Jeff Speakman and Jean-Claude Van Damme made the leap to the big screen. Many significant and insignificant action films were produced during this time, both having successful theatrical runs and for some, successful video releases.
Here are some exciting coming attractions from Paramount.
Of all the awesome movies released, it's hard to pick where exactly to start. So I talked with a good friend of mine, Scott Cowan, who a lot of you may know as the vocalist from Violent Life, Violent Death. But what some of you may not know is this guy is a walking encyclopedia of action flicks. Scott picked five of his favorite action movies from the 80s and 90s for me to check out. So without any further hesitation, let's get to the chopper.
Get to the chopper!
Because there are five awesome 80s and 90s action flicks handpicked by Scott Cowan in no particular order. Let's jump in.
For centuries, the Society of the Black Dragon has sanctioned an ancient rite of combat known as the Kumite.
Widely considered as one of the best action films of the 80s, and containing a star-making performance from Jean-Claude Van Damme as real-life martial artist Frank Dukes, Bloodsport tells the unverified, true story of Dukes' entrance into the Kumite, a highly secret and extremely violent martial arts competition. Along the way, we see Van Damme's athletic abilities front and center. We also get to see performances from Bolo Young, Donald Gibb, aka Ogre from Revenge of the Nerds, and even Forrest Whitaker. Bloodsport's a classic for action films, and if you're one of the 3 people in the world that haven't seen it, you need to now. Plus, if you don't like the action or the story, you have to watch it for this Jean-Claude Van Damme impromptu dance scene that lasts well over 2 minutes.
A team is not a team if you don't give a damn about one another.
Released in 1989, directly in the transition between big-budget action to straight-to-video action, Best of the Best features Eric Roberts, brother of megastar Julia Roberts, as Alexander Grady, a widow and father of a 5-year-old son chosen to represent the United States of America in an international martial arts tournament against Team Korea. Although pretty much universally panned by the critics upon release, the film developed a cult following and also featured Chris Penn and James Earl Jones, aka Darth Vader. UFC fighter and former champion Chuck Liddell also cites Best of the Best as his favorite martial arts movie, if anyone was wondering. Best of the Best is a must-see if you're watching action flicks. Although more grounded than the other films, it features a surprising amount of heart and triumph, something lacking in a lot of the testosterone-driven films of this time.
You can work, you can sweat, you can train, you can dream and never be better than good. But when the right people come together at the right moment, when they care almost as much about winning as they do about each other, they can become the best of the best.
He has been taught the mystic arts of war.
Sai!
He has mastered 1,000 years of secrets. He has learned the way of the ninja.
Released in 1987, 2 years after the release of the first American Ninja, American Ninja 2 picks up shortly after the events of the first film, with Michael Dudikoff as Joe Armstrong, now a U.S. Army Ranger. He is ordered to discover why Marines have been going missing from their posts at the U.S. Embassy. Throughout the movie, we get plenty of mystery and fight sequences. I initially wondered why the film was picked over the original, but after watching it, it makes sense. American Ninja 2 is a much better film. Dudikoff, who was not a martial artist before making the first film, had obviously been training a lot and is able to pull off a lot of the action sequences very well, and they can go a little bit more complex and last a little bit longer now. Also, I enjoyed the story more than the original. You can watch the original, but you can also jump directly into this one without missing anything too integral. American Ninja 2 is definitely worth checking out, as I really enjoyed the story more so than the action, which was still very well done.
Michael Dudikoff returns as the American Ninja with Steve James in American Ninja 2: The Confrontation.
Steven Seagal is Mason Storm, a cop working undercover until his cover was blown.
Released in 1990, 3 years after Steven Seagal's acting debut in 1987's Above the Law, Hard to Kill was a box office success, a huge box office success, completely solidifying Seagal as a member of the new wave of action stars. Hard to Kill starred Seagal as Mason Storm, a detective who falls into a coma after being shot during a firefight that killed his wife. Reawakening 7 years later, Storm embarks on a journey to avenge the death of his wife and expose the corruption of Senator Vernon Trent. Steven Seagal's acting is as wooden as it comes, and the chemistry between him and Kelly LeBrock is cringeworthy, but the action scenes, featuring a lot of judo, are pretty well done. Also, the storyline was a nostalgic blast from the past. I'm not a fan of Steven Seagal, but this film was a ton of fun. Just turn your brain off before you start it.
We are going to put an end to violence, and you can take that to the bank.
Steven Seagal is hard to kill.
Take that to the bank.
He looks like anyone else you'd pass on the street.
Give me your money now, sucker.
Except for one thing.
You want my money? Huh? Is this what you want?
He has a slight attitude.
No problem.
When I saw this film on the list Scott sent me, I honestly had no idea what it was. It was the only film on the list that I hadn't either heard of or seen before. Jumping in, I was quite surprised at how freaking cool this movie is. It stars Jeff Speakman, real-life martial artist and black belt in American Kenpo, as Jeff Sanders, who is trained in the martial art of American Kenpo, and his fight against the Korean Mafia. The Perfect Weapon is notable for being the only well-known Hollywood depiction of Kenpo techniques on screen. The fight scenes are awesome and honestly unlike any of the scenes I've seen in similar films. Speakman came across supernatural and despite not being an actor, did very well. The choreography was also top-notch. The Perfect Weapon also features James Hong, who had a breakout performance in Big Trouble in Little China with Kurt Russell. I love this film and I really think you will too. Definitely check it out.
In his explosive motion picture debut, Jeff Speakman is the perfect weapon.
Alright guys, so that was only 5 of the really awesome action flicks that came out in the 80s and 90s. It was a great time for action flicks, and there is an endless supply to pick out from. It was so popular that it spun off video game adaptations, toys, comic books, even a parody movie of action films, which is Last Action Hero with Arnold Schwarzenegger, which ended up being a cult classic in its own right and is a great action film, parodying all these action films that came out around this time. So I want to thank Scott so much, man. Thanks for picking those 5 movies. I really enjoyed watching them, revisiting a couple of them that I had seen before. Make sure you go check out Violent Life, Violent Death, the band that Scott is the vocalist for. You can check them out on Facebook, Spotify. You can check them out on YouTube, see some of their videos. So thank you, man, so much. And definitely go hit up Violent Life, Violent Death. Go see them live. Go talk to Scott before or after the set and, you know, talk about some action films, man, because this guy knows his stuff. So thanks again, Scott. And thank you guys for watching another episode. Hope you guys enjoy it. Put some of your favorite films down in the comments below. And if you haven't already subscribed, go ahead and click that subscribe button. Again, thank you guys so much for watching, and don't forget, in this universe, we keep it retro. See you guys.